The answer is no. At no point was the president informed the vice president was in any danger.
That appears to be not true. That appears to be an untrue statement. And if they call witnesses, at least one Republican senator can attest to the fact that that's not true, because he's the one who told the president about the danger Pence was in real time. And he has not been shy about saying that's what happened. President Trump's second impeachment trial is expected to wrap up probably tomorrow. We'll see what they decide about witnesses. Almost every Republican in the Senate is expected to vote to acquit him for inciting an insurrection in the Capitol. But this new sticking point, this key question of whether or not President Trump deliberately put the vice president's life more at risk, whether he frankly cared that his vice president was close to being carted off by an angry mob that said they wanted to kill him, it does put Senate Republicans in a pickle, right? I mean, if you're a Republican, even one who frequently sides or almost always sides with Donald Trump, and you think the impeachment trial is a scam and that the former president did nothing wrong, how do you feel about Mike Pence? How do you contend with the fact that the president appears to really not have cared about what happened to Mike Pence that day? And so he egged on the mob while that mob was hunting Pence inside the building. Even if you are a Trump-loving senator, have you also turned against Pence and think that he ought to have been hunted, just like the president appears to think? Or do you feel differently about Mike Pence? Well, crucially, what do people around Mike Pence know about this situation, and what do they think? Tonight, Josh Dawsey of the Washington Post has some very important new reporting on this front. He and his colleagues are reporting tonight that aides to Mike Pence are directly refuting the claims made by Trump's lawyers, that Trump was concerned about Mike Pence's safety during the riot. Quote, Pence's team does not agree with the Trump lawyers' assessment that Trump was concerned about Pence's safety. Trump did not call Pence that day or for 5 days after that. No one else on Trump's team called as Pence was evacuated to one room and then another. What do you do if you are a Republican senator knowing that? Hey, thanks for watching our YouTube channel. You should know that you can follow today's top stories and breaking news and catch up on your favorite MSNBC shows all in one place. Download the NBC News app today.